So good to have you. So, before we get started with talk about what nature teaches us, I'm going to offer you a gift as something that I just recently learned, which I think for me was just like, oh my God, this is fabulous. So, when we're upset, or we have a problem going on, or your car breaks down, or you locked yourself out of your house, or your bank account is all of a sudden you don't know why, but there's zero money in it, or somebody took money out of your account. So you find yourself in a state of frenzy, anxiety, stress, upset, anger, fear, all of that. You have engaged what's running in your system is your sympathetic nervous system. It is really on full alert. And what that means is you are in the state of fight, flight, or freeze. So, you want to fight with the banker, or you want to get the heck away from your spouse, or, you just don't know what to do and you're frozen, and mentally and sometimes physically. So that part of your body is engaged, and it stays engaged as long as you're in the upset, the anger, the fear, etc. So that is what I have previously called a crimp in your hose. So if your hose, and in your hose is the energy of spirit, your hose just got crimped. That's how it gets crimped, with anxiety and fear and stress, etc. So and I've previously talked about do what there is to do for you to get yourself out of that. Take a walk in nature, listen to music, etc. But here's one simple thing you can do at any time, anywhere. Breathe. So you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth like a straw. And you do that until your body's relaxed. Now here's the thing about that. Once you've done that and your body's relaxed, your parasympathetic nervous system is engaged. And that system allows you to rest, digest, and create. And when you're in that place, you are in sync with spirit, or the divine, or love, or the infinite, whatever you want to call it. But it is in that moment, from there, you can then have a conversation, or you can then take whatever action is next for you. But you're taking it from a totally different place. And as much as possible, you want to move yourself to that state, so you can do it anytime. You don't even have to be upset to do it. You can just do it. The more I do it, the more I'm like in love with life and in love with the world, and all is well. And anyway, I found it. The thing I liked about it was, it's not that I didn't know to make the shift, but this is a very simple, easy way, and there's the science behind it. And using your body well. See, our body is not the way that it is by accident, but we're still learning how to really use it well so that it is an expression of spirit. And that's the beautiful way of doing it. So there you have it. That's my little extra gift for the day. So now then, what does nature have to teach us? Well, you can think of a lot of things. I think there's tons of things nature has to teach us. You could say, and I will say, everything there is to learn about life on planet Earth is learned through nature. There is nothing that if we spend time learning about nature, every answer is right there. One reason is because spirit is everywhere. So spirit is nature. Spirit has given us nature, and when I say that, I'm talking about like the waterfalls and the crickets and the birds and the animals and the plants and the oceans and the waters and the trees and the mountains. All of that is nature. Now, interestingly, we are nature too, but we don't tend to think of it that way. But nevertheless, let's just say that if we spent more time in nature, we would learn a lot. So I'm going to talk about 3 different gifts or teachings or things I've learned from nature, because as I said in my blurb, as a city girl, so, nature was a tree on the parkway, and that was, nice, pretty, okay. Until some years ago, we went on which I was surprised I said yes to, just because I love the guy whose birthday we were celebrating. A group of us went down the Rogue River in Oregon, and it was a, camping thing. And this group took us, and we were in rafts, and they prepared the campsite, and they prepared the meals and all. But we had to navigate the water. And I mean, I could swim and all that, and I've been in the ocean and in the lakes and that, but I had not done this. And we had to go through rapids, et cetera. And there were some big ones they told us how to do. They gave us instructions, but the easier ones you could navigate on your own. It wasn't until I was sitting, so we were in big rafts, but we had the opportunity to, if we wanted to be in a kayak or a large inner tube on our own. And it wasn't until I was in one of those that I realized why people camp and hike and so. Because I got present. I couldn't be anywhere but there. If you really spend time in nature, if you're going to go out on a camping trip like that, you have to be present. You have to be right there. You'll kill yourself if you're not present. You go down the Grand Canyon, you will die if you don't stay present. You got to watch where you're walking. Go to Muir Woods. You can miss it if you just chat the whole way through. If you're not careful, you can fall and kill yourself out in Muir Woods. The gift of being present is astounding. I had no idea. I came back from that trip like a new person. When Paul, my husband, has sailed, he sailed from Hawaii to Guam. It was a 30-day excursion. And he was present. I got a new guy when he came home because he was present to out in the middle of the night, looking at the stars and the ocean. That's all there was the stars and the ocean and Paul. That's all there was. It was heaven. And when we talk about it now, he cries. So do I. It was just glorious because nature brings us present. And when we're present, that's all there is this beautiful moment. We're not in our heads thinking about our to-do list or any other kind of crazy thing, any other supposedly important human thing. We are alive and well in this moment, and the wonder of the universe is present. It is a wondrous place. Just looking, I wasn't going to talk about that, but that's one of the gifts. It teaches us to appreciate the wonder of life, because those stars and that ocean is immense, and those stars are, oh my, we cannot comprehend how vast the universe is. And when you're out in a place like the ocean where there are no lights from Earth, you can see it much more richly. And it's mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing. And there you are, as important as the star. You and the stars and you and the water are one. You are right there together. And being present like that is worth all of life. Being present in life is the gift of being human. And by the way, it happens to be my favorite gift from nature. Was the first one I learned and the one I appreciate the most, although they're all wondrous. Another is diversity/inclusion. You know, when you go in a forest, everything is there. Every kind of bug, different kinds of soil, different kinds of plants. They're all living happily together. They're all supportive of each other. And I know we're learning now about the if I say it correctly, mycorrhizal relationship, and the fungi that grows beneath the roots of the forest that communicate with all the plants, all the critters, and all the trees. And I'm not exactly sure, and I don't know that they even know yet exactly what they're communicating, or if it is a what, but they are in communication. Now, that's something for us to learn, because we easily go out of communication. If somebody says something we don't like, we go, well, that's it, and I'm not talking to that person again. So we cut off the beauty and wonder of our interaction with another person because of something that is in our head and bothered us. Well, that's a good time to start breathing, you know, breathe through your nose and out through your mouth. Give yourself a break, get yourself in your heart so you can stay in communication. And including, here we are, celebrating a perfect day to be talking about this. Here we are celebrating the inclusion of every kind of person, whatever their beliefs, whatever way they appreciate and express love, it doesn't matter. It's all A-OK. God is not complaining. Nature doesn't complain. You know, the oak tree doesn't get up and move because it's got a flower next to it that it doesn't like. None of that happens. All the plants do well. Look at our garden right out front here, all the different flowers that are there. They're gorgeous, and they're gorgeous when they're together. It's mind-blowing how beautiful they are, and the gorgeous colors. Are like, the same with people. They're gorgeous. Different heights, different weights, different skin colors, different beliefs, different sexualities. Who cares? They're human beings. They're all an expression of God, and they're expressing their wonder and their beauty just that way, just like the rose or the pansy, or the turnip, or the oak tree, or the birch. It doesn't matter. They're all beautiful. They're all beautiful in their own way. And gardens that are made of quote-unquote weeds, what a joke. It's like a Monet garden, because it looks like weeds. But it's not, it's flowers. And if you pay attention in the spring, you see fields and fields and fields and fields and fields of wildflowers. Have you seen those golden fields? Those kind of yellowish green fields? Oh, people are stopping on Route 1. There's fields and fields of them. People get out of their car, take pictures, go roaming around in it. It's so gorgeous. And what are they? Wildflowers, just like our native flower, the, what do you call it? Poppy, thank you. Duh. The poppy's a wildflower, and look how gorgeous it is. Oh, my word, it's just there to appreciate. That's another thing we get taught, is to appreciate. It's hard not to, but you got to look at it. I mean, you know, I was a city girl and didn't for the longest time, and now I'm just the opposite. So diversity and inclusion is a huge piece of nature. It teaches us that all the time. All you have to do is look around and you see it. And nobody's fighting about it. There's no plant fighting with another plant. The mountains are not fighting with the lakes, and the clouds are not fighting with the sun. They're all happening together. It's all just flowing and happening, and everything's at peace. It's another thing to learn. And then there's resilience. Now, you know, we don't like it. Of course we don't like it. We'd rather it didn't happen when forest fires occur. But, you know, some of them don't all start because we did something, as human beings did something. Sometimes they start because they started. It's a natural part of nature for instance, a fire to occur. And it's like in our lives, something happens that causes us to, let's say, I'm going to say hit bottom. So let's call a forest fire hitting bottom. There is something to learn there. We're not given a challenge like that unless we can handle it. Nothing is accidental. So a forest fire is not accidental either. It happens and it cleanses that part of the ground, that cleanses that area on the planet, like Canada is going through a lot of it now. And, you know, our turn may come later this year, as it usually does. And it's not a bad thing. And the earth is resilient. What does she do? Regrow. Trees regrow. And some of them just weather like redwoods in particular, they'll weather the fire and they'll do fine. And not only do they regrow, but new plants start to grow. So Chernobyl, for instance, that happened back in '86. You know that it is inhabited by many animals, lynx and bison and deer and dogs and bugs and plants. The whole place is taken over by nature now. Of course, for us, they say it'll take 20,000 years till it's not radioactive. So we can't go live there, but they can. How about that? How about that? It's rich with vegetation and animals of every kind, all living there peacefully together. Amazing. Or how about the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010? 206 million gallons of oil were spilled there, and nature has reclaimed it. It's not all done. There's more work to be done. Just like at Chernobyl, there's other stuff to be done. I don't know if people will ever live there again, but nature has reclaimed herself there. There are oyster beds and oyster reefs and and fish and all kinds of plants that weren't there before that are there now. So that's the way it is in nature. That's the way it is in life. That's what there is for us to learn. You know, we often think of life like, and something that happened to us like it's the end of life. Never is, but we operate sometimes like, oh my God, this is the worst thing could possibly happen. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just your own personal forest fire. Yeah. And then what if you noticed this issue happening and you held it as your own personal forest fire and looked for what there was to come from it? Actually, Paul and I just did that he had a car accident in April. Guy backed into him and ruined the whole right-hand side of his car. And both of us were like, well, we'll see what good comes from this. What Spirit has in store? Well, so guess what? They totaled the car, gave us a big chunk of money to put a down payment, so we got a new car, a hybrid, which is really nice. Driving around, not using gas when you're under 45 miles an hour is really cool. And then we found out, because the insurance company was so good, that he could get loss of wages. So he had 3 weeks off and got paid more than he would have if he'd worked. So the whole month ended up being a giant miracle, and both of us at the beginning of the month, when the thing, well, first off, Paul thought prior to the accident, boy, it'd be nice if somebody messed with my car, and they totaled it, and then we could use that money for a down payment on a new one. So it's time for this car. I had 323,000 miles on it and needed work. Ta-da, it happened. So we had this miraculous month. It was really pretty amazing. So we had our own personal forest fire there. And look at this. Now we're driving. He's driving this hybrid. I love it. I love driving around knowing, oh, we're not using any gas. We're not using any gas. So fun. It's so neat. So there's a way of embracing nature and learning from nature where you can bring it into your own life and do it as well. Include that person next to you. Include that flower next to you whose color you don't like. You know, maybe they're wearing a shirt or something you don't like. Include them, just like the birch tree would. Include that rose or that camellia or whatever it is next door, or that weed. Include them. You know, some weeds have thorns on them. So do roses. So there's nothing wrong at all anywhere in nature, and there's nothing wrong anywhere in our worlds either. The only thing that has us think so is our thoughts. So like Nancy mentioned, change your thinking, change your life. So I invite you to bring your thinking in line with nature. Let yourself learn from nature and take a breath here and there and appreciate her. She's giving all the time. That's another thing to learn from nature, she's giving shelter, taking carbon dioxide out of the air and giving us, I mean, if it weren't for the plants and the forests around the planet, we wouldn't be able to breathe. So it's giving us life, actually. So there's so much to learn from nature. I invite you to investigate it even more fully, but enjoy being present, enjoy inclusion and diversity, and enjoy the resilience that nature offers us as an example of how we can live life in sync with the infinite. Are we blessed or what? Are we blessed or what to have that available to us, to be part of our life, as if we're separate? I'm talking like we're separate, but we're not. So it's available to us at every moment. I mean, you know, just looking around, there's no better art than windows where nature is outside. You don't need any. You don't have to spend millions on fancy art. Put up windows and put a tree out there. Enjoy that. Oh, or the ocean or a mountain. Any kind of nature brings love present. And that's who we are anyway. That's who we are, top and bottom, side to side, inside and outside. We are love. Why? Because we are spirit. And we are the infinite, and that's all that the infinite is. Always giving, always loving, and that's what we're here for. And nature helps guide us. So let her. So let us pray for a moment. In gratitude, we are here together on behalf of Freedom Day and the freedom and the glory of this day, and the appreciation for the gifts that nature gives us. Always providing wonder and beauty and love, presence, inclusion, and resilience. And let the wonder of nature fill your heart. This is that day. And we can carry it forth in every other day because nature's right there with us. We are blessed to be together to celebrate this day of freedom and to celebrate the wonder and beauty and guidance of nature. because she's making it available at every moment. Yes. Thank you for this day. Thank you for all these gifts that are ours moment by moment by moment. We are truly blessed. Amen. Blessed be, and so it is.